John Tavares Getty Images You Remember November 16, 1976, don't you? When Eddie Giacomin and the Red Wings returned to the Garden exactly 2 weeks after the momentous Eddie night memorialized forever by the chanting Rangers fans who rooted against their own team? Of course you do not, because Eddie 2 flopped as a sequel, the Rangers winning 3-0 behind a shutout posted by new kid on the block John Davidson, who was embraced and cheered. Giacomin, there'd be plenty of cheers for him at the Garden after his retirement. And so at the Coliseum on Monday, when John Tavares returned to the scene of his alleged crime 32 days after his first appearance on hallowed ice as a Maple Leaf, the atmosphere couldn't have been more sedate compared to the first time around. If February 28th was memorable, this one was forgettable. Of course it was. There were a few chants of "we don't need you," and there were rounds of boos that by late second period seemed nothing more than obligatory. Indeed, Tavares had been on the ice for at least 20 seconds during a television timeout with 4:55 remaining in the period before people noticed and started to boo by rodent without the personalized venom that marked Feb. 28. John Tavares Getty Images Limited Hate this night. When you've been through it once, there's a little more comfort level. Tavares said. You have a better idea of what to expect. I just tried to focus on my play. The night will be remembered by Tavares for more than its relative sounds of silence. For it was no. 91 who sniped what proved to be the game winner in a 2-1 victory that clinched a playoff spot for the Maple Leafs. Anytime you make it official and accomplish something you've worked so hard for since the first day of training camp, that's a good feeling, said Tavares, who beat Robin Lehner shortside from the left circle off a nifty feed from Mitch Marner for a 2-0 lead at 3:50 of the second. Having the opportunity to compete for the Stanley Cup is what it's all about. The goal was the 46th for Tavares, the most by a Maple Leaf in a quarter of a century, since Dave Andreychuk got 53 and Wendell Clark 46 in 1993-94. The point was his career-best 87th, eclipsing by one the mark he had established with the 2014-15 Islanders, for whom he had never scored more than 38 goals in a season. I've tried to play my game and be productive and consistent. Tavares said, that's what I've strived for my whole career. It's what the elite players do. If the NHL had not changed its playoff system to the current illogical and punitive structure, the Islanders and Maple Leafs would be on track to meet in a 4-5 Eastern first-round matchup. Alas, Toronto is on its way to a first-round battle with Boston while the Islanders likely await Pittsburgh, though that is not yet settled. What is that the Islanders and Leafs won't meet unless they advance to the conference finals. This is a rivalry built on the cloth of one player exercising his right to choose his workplace upon reaching free agency. Yes, Lou Lamoriello moved to the Islanders from Toronto after losing his job as general manager last June, and the front office rivalry must be intense, but nobody at the Coliseum was directing insults at Kyle Dubas, who replaced Lamoriello. There have been moments between the franchises. In 1978, the Maple Leafs bullied the Islanders out of the playoffs in a 7-game first round that ended with Lanny McDonald's Game 7 overtime semi-breakaway goal against Chico Resch. In 2002, the Maple Leafs thuggery took out the Islanders in 7 yet again. For a short time following each series, hatred existed between the teams. But short-lived. There have been no ties to bind and none to sever. Until now. Until Tavares left home to go home. Until his return produced one unforgettable night and another that will barely be remembered.